Good morning. This is James with 77 Financial Group. You're listening to 15 Minutes of Finance, where in the next 15 minutes, I bet I can get you excited about investing. Let's do it. All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We have a midweek market update. Normally we do this on Friday, but I am in Idaho starting at 3:30 this afternoon. So we are doing it today. And guys, today is the big one. Okay, the big one. We're talking about tariffs today. And I briefly mentioned it a couple weeks ago, but today Trump said the big one, the big tariff day. So he's going to be signing into order some tariffs on other countries, some of which are going to be our allies. So I'm going to explain to you what that really means in the simplest of terms and why anybody who's up in arms about it is not ready to make money. Okay. They're just not ready. So we're also going to go over the market. So let me do that first. But first, I do a lot of firsts today, huh? Let me do the definition of tariff, and then that'll be our term of the day, and then we'll read the news. So a tariff, as defined by taxfoundation.org, tariffs are taxes imposed by one country on goods imported from another country. Tariffs are trade barriers that raise prices, reduce available quantities of goods and services for U.S. businesses and consumers, and create an economic burden on foreign exporters. Okay, that sounded really, really negative. And I'm excited to dive into it. So before we do that, let's do the mid-market news, see who's moving up or down in the stock market. U.S. equities rose at midday as details contained in a report on wholesale inflation suggested an easing of inflation. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, S&P, and NASDAQ all gained. MGM Resorts International, MGM ticker, was the best performing stock in the S&P 500 when the hotel and casino operators' results exceeded expectations on higher revenue from its Chinese operations. Shares of Robinhood Markets, ticker HOOD, jumped to a record high as soaring trading in cryptocurrency helped the online trading site significantly beat profit and sales estimates. Dutch Bros, ticker Bros, BROS, shares hit an all-time high after the drive-thru coffee chain operator reported better than anticipated results and outlook on the addition of new locations and solid same-store sales. Guys, I have a Dutch Bros right by my house. I'm not a big Dutch guy. There are, maybe 50 cars in this drive-thru at any given time, and I don't get it. I do not get it at all, but people love it. So I don't know, maybe that's enough to invest in, but not for me. I can't stand them. West Pharmaceutical Services, WST, shares plunged as the maker of injectable drug devices warned the strong dollar and customer inventory clearing will negatively impact future performance. What a weird way to say, as the dollar does better, we do worse. Shares of Deere, DE, declined when the manufacturer of tractors, combines, and lawnmowers missed revenue estimates, said full year sales of its big farm equipment would be worse than previously anticipated. Dell Technologies, ticker DELL, shares fell as Morgan Stanley cut the price target to 128 from 154, citing concerns about the computer firm's near-term earnings. That's a big cut, 128 from 154. Oil futures dropped, gold prices advanced, the yield on the 10-year Treasury note slid, the U.S. dollar was down versus the euro, pound, and yen. Most major cryptocurrencies traded lower. Guys, that's the news right now. I would say, let me look at the crypto markets because I'm not entirely sure what they just said is true. XRP is up. Pretty much everything else is down. Bitcoin's down like 0.37%. So it's nothing crazy. Where's ETH? Do I not have that on my watch list? Makes sense. I guess now you guys know I don't have Ethereum. So first off, I don't know that pharmaceutical company that said, I don't even remember what the name of it now was, said that they're going to do worse because the dollar is doing better. I don't even know how that makes sense. They must be primarily in U.S. Like hospitals or in the medical market in the U.S., but there's a whole globe to have a market for. So I don't know why that's such a big deal. A lot of the medical equipment here in the U.S. is already exceptionally overpriced, so they're already making a premium by working here. Guys, hold on. Let me look at, so the market is at 6,100 right now. It's up 0.8%. I think all-time highs is 6,148. Let me see if I'm even remotely close. I am indeed remotely close. I would need to focus in on my phone here to be able to get the exact answer, but I am close, and I would like a pat on the back for that. AT&T's at an all-time high. Okay, we've been a big fan of AT&T ever since they sold all of their entertainment positions. Well, not all-time high. I'm so sorry. A high since COVID. Let me rephrase, because they have been. Let me go to all time. They have been $44 before, but they currently give a 4.89% dividend yield, and we've liked them since $16. So that's, guys, we have a breaking news. Let's read this. Here we go. President Donald Trump on Thursday signed his plan for reciprocal tariffs on both friend and foe, but delayed their implementation as his administration launches negotiations with nations that could be impacted on a one-by-one basis. Up first is India. India has tons of tariffs all over the place. Tariffs are not that uncommon, guys. A lot of countries do them, but okay. Up first is India, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi set to visit the White House later this afternoon for a series of meetings. Modi may try to use issues like energy as a means to blunt the tariff impact in his country. I will charge a reciprocal tariff, meaning whatever countries charge the United States of America, we will charge them, Trump told reporters Thursday afternoon in the Oval Office. He added a charge of America's trading partners that in almost all cases they are charging us vastly more, with both Trump and incoming Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who was standing at his side, promising that the coming duties will be customized for each country. The studies of each country could be completed by April 1st, Lutnick said, adding that the duties could then take effect as early as April 2nd. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett told reporters earlier this week that Lutnick had already begun discussing reciprocal tariffs with other countries. Further details of the order were not immediately available, but the eventual action could eventually impact a wide array of nations from Asia to South America. Okay, there's nothing else really worth reading in this. So it's time. I was talking about markets. I was going to talk about Palantir, NVIDIA. But the overall message I wanted to give with this podcast is tariffs. You're going to hear tariffs from everybody from old heads who, they're 80 years old and they hate crypto and they hate anything new. Okay, all the way from young people who are just trying to have buzzwords to make themselves sound smart. Tariffs, in and of themselves, okay, are simply a negotiating tactic in this scenario. Okay, Trump is the master of the art of the deal. Okay, I don't care if you voted for Trump, if you voted for Biden. I don't care if you voted for LeBron James as president. Okay, that wouldn't have been probably such a bad vote, but you didn't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you voted for. You cannot historically look back at all of Trump's existence and say that guy is not a great deal maker. Okay, and tariffs is just a tool in the tool belt when making deals. Now, look, do I want tariffs? No, I don't want tariffs. They impact markets quickly, intensely, and briefly. Okay, so it happens fast, it happens a lot, and it only happens for a short period of time. Okay, that's typically how tariffs react. This isn't new. I don't want to say every country, but a good portion of countries all have tariffs. And they're charging other countries a fee to be able to do business in their country. Okay, and what I love about this is Trump's like, hey, we're just trying to even the playing field. And it's not even as aggressive as I would like him to be, right? And this is because he doesn't want to shock. He doesn't want that quick, immediate drop reaction for people in the markets. And what I mean by that is I want him to be as aggressive as he has to be, because not only are we trying to have even playing ground with these other countries, we've had hundreds of years where it hasn't been even, where we've been doing people favors, taking care of them, having wasteful spending. Implementing these reciprocal tariffs, which just means one for one. Someone charges us a 10% tariff, we charge them a 10% tariff. It just means that, hey, look, you're doing this to us, and now we're going to even the playing field. And a lot of people don't like that. They think that that's going to be an issue for markets, and for eventually it'll drip down to the common, middle America business owner. I totally disagree, and I disagree for two reasons. One, we are the largest consumer in the world by far. So people want our business. Okay, even if there's a 10% tariff on it, they want our business. And so what's going to end up happening, and we can use Canada as an example because they they got back to Trump real quick when he implemented the tariff policy with them. He's like, hey, we're going to charge you a tariff. You guys, there's a lot of drugs coming over your border. We don't want that. This is not a revenue issue. This is not an economic issue. This is a safety and health issue with the drugs coming across your border, and we want you guys to stop it. And we're going to charge you a fee, a tariff, until you change that. And, initially it was, we will charge tariffs back to America. We will not stand by and let you bully us. And it's like, that's not what's happening. And after maybe a week, Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, met with Trump. And after that meeting was like, hey, by the way, we're going to send 10,000 or however many thousands of essentially police to the border to make sure we're watching this drug scenario, these drugs crossing the borders, essentially fentanyl. So he's saying, hey, not only are we going to do that, we're also going to dump hundreds of millions of dollars into it. So now not only is he saying, yes, Trump, we will do what you asked of us by increasing security at the border, they're also increasing funding. Okay, so that means now more technology, more supervision, more ring cameras, I guess, on the border. So using that as an example, a tariff, which was a threat, which he was fully willing to commit to, Trump was, it responded with negative initial response from Canada. And then what happened? The threat of the tariff worked. And now Canada is doing exactly what we wanted, which is to just secure their border so evil, life-threatening drugs don't cross our border, okay, from the north. I don't know how anyone looks at that and goes, tariffs are bad, okay, in that scenario alone. Now, let's talk about countries like India or Pakistan, China, Russia. We are the largest consumer in the world, okay, the largest. Why are people able to charge us fees, okay, tariffs, but we are not allowed to charge it to them? Okay, all we will do is just go somewhere else. We will go somewhere else. Okay, a lot of the time, we'll use steel as an example. When we put these steel tariffs into action, we might just finally start buying more American-made steel. Well, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but we also focus on quality. Okay, so now we're creating jobs. Now we're boosting the fundamentals of infrastructure is steel. Okay, and now we're boosting that. So now not only are we trying to create fair trade regulations with other countries, we're also going to be buying and uplifting our own country, the businesses in our own country. That's the example of steel. The next example, or the next big thing, other than the fact that we're the biggest consumer in the world and people need us, is that reciprocal tariffs make things fair. Okay, just because we didn't have tariffs on India or China or Russia previously doesn't mean that was the right thing to do. Okay, those countries aren't necessarily third world countries anymore. That's my own thought process, is why we didn't have tariffs in the first place. It's like, they're growing, they're figuring it out. Like, we don't need to charge them a tariff, but they were charging us one. And in our head, it's like, it's okay. Well, we don't mind paying a tariff to be able to buy their stuff. Okay, that is no longer the case. We are simply evening the playing field. People have been taking advantage of us. So what's going to end up happening immediately is my assumption, is that once those tariffs go into place in China or Russia or India or wherever it is, that any country where they're happening, their businesses are going to feel the pressure. Okay, the India businesses, the Chinese businesses, Russian businesses, they're going to say, hey, this is horrible for us. America's one of our biggest consumers. We need to make this right. And they're going to go talk to their government. And the government is going to say, you're right. We don't want to get impeached or assassinated, or we want our citizens happy. And so then they're going to say, okay, well, we'll go to the negotiating table with America. And then guess what happens? The tariffs get removed for both countries. Okay, anybody who thinks these tariffs impact middle America or the average citizen of the U.S., or even the poor of the U.S., it impacts them the most, I think you're full of it. I think you're entirely wrong. We are the largest consumer. We are the big dog in the room, and we are allowing people to come into our pockets just to do business with them. Okay, so now we're saying, well, we're going to go into your pockets too. And so now everybody's hand is in everybody's pockets, and what's going to end up happening is the people who feel that the most, which is the poorer countries, the less developed countries, they're going to say, hey, you know what? We don't want to charge you tariffs. Please don't charge us tariffs. And we'll have an even free market with no tariffs. Okay, that's what's going to happen. And I'm putting my name down on it. That's what I think is going to happen. We've already seen it with Canada, and realistically, what this is simply a bark. And I've mentioned this before. When you have a really, really good bark, you don't ever have to bite. Okay, bark is enough to scare people off. Well, the cool thing about Trump, which is, he doesn't have that many redeeming qualities, but one of them is he doesn't bluff much. Okay, he's like, hey, look, this is what we're going to do, and if you don't do X, Y, and Z, then ABC is going to happen. And these tariffs are just an example of that. And ideally, these countries are going to fear the bite so much that they listen to the bark. And guys, that's going to be great for everybody here in the U.S. Okay, so even if tariffs, a couple of things, and I'll finish up here. Even if tariffs do get implemented, it'll be brief. Okay, so markets will react most likely negatively. It will be swift, so I'm thinking between 5 and 10%, and then it'll be brief. Okay, very brief. I'm talking 2-3 months, maybe even less than that, maybe 2-3 weeks. The other countries cannot feel that pain, and we are able to endure that way better than other countries are, simply because we're the largest consumer in the world. So either we're consuming their stuff or we're going to consume our stuff. The consumption's probably not going to stop. So that's the first thing, is even if the tariffs do happen, it'll be swift, it'll be quick, okay? And then the second that they stop, the second that these tariffs go away, the market is going to react with a boom, because there's going to be more money invested, more money able to be invested, okay? And as companies like Palantir and NVIDIA and OpenAI, Tesla, as they expand in these brand new markets, money is going to dump into the American economy, okay? And I firmly believe it. And yeah, look, the definition of the tariff that I gave you earlier, it's extremely negative, and globally that is an accurate definition. I think that's a fair definition. It's a barrier to trade, and it does deter most people. But when you're the only person in the cafeteria with food, you get to make decisions about who gets the food. Okay? And that's what America is. They're the only person with food in the cafeteria, given, for a lack of better imagery off the top of my head. Tariffs in this case are going to be good for your investments and good for America, especially in the long term. Mainly because I think other countries are going to just say, hey, we would rather have no tariffs amongst us, right? And then that opens up a free trade route, a free trade relationship, and it's beautiful for everyone. Okay, guys, that is it. I have ranted enough for you. I hope you guys got excited about investing today. I hope you did. I'm excited. Guys, this is what I love doing this. I'm up early in the morning. I'm up late at night thinking about this stuff. And I think there is real opportunity, especially for this millennial group of people. So my age, I'm 32. We could really make financial gains that our parents couldn't do, that our grandparents couldn't do. So I hope you guys are excited about investing. And as always, invest early, invest often. We'll see you next week.